All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm back once again with one of the original hombres of the movement, the Patriot movement, Michael Jaco. Do I say former Navy SEAL? Are you always a Navy SEAL? Do I say retired Navy SEAL? I'm confused on this.
Yeah, former Navy SEAL, retired Navy SEAL, former CIA, retired Navy or CIA. Some people will tell you, oh, once CIA, always CIA, whatever. It's like I'm not. I don't work for them anymore. So
yeah. I mean, so you've been in the thick of it. You know what? I guess you've been in the swamp. Let's just say.
Yeah, I mean, being a patriot, like most military men and women are, we go in to serve our country. While you're in, you start to notice some inconsistencies, some people that are suspect, leadership position people that are suspect, but you do the best to do your job and serve the best you can.
So, a lot of people have been looking forward to this interview, Mike. And, I love going on with you and Scott McKay. It's always a riot. It's a great time. I trust you both very much. So when you came out and threw Michael Flynn under the bus, so to speak, I was like, whoa, there might be something here, because I respect your opinion. I respect Scott's. I talked to a lot of people. We talked to a lot of the same people. And, my view on Flynn as of right now is the jury's kind of out. I'm out with it. I want to know more. I want to know what you know. But at the same time, I try to put the pieces together, and I'm like, there were some red flags, like when he said a one world religion, when he prayed to the 7 points of light or something like that, things like that. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Right. But I didn't dismiss him. I still look at, and right now I still do look at Flynn as a patriot. I mean, he is the face of the Reawaken tour. I mean, it's basically every time every Reawaken tour is like a Flynn pep rally. You know what I mean? And I've been to one of them, and I admire the guy. So when I heard you come out and say, hey, no, there's some problems here, some inconsistencies, I was like, okay, let's talk about this, because we cannot be scared to talk about these things. We have to hold everyone's feet to the fire, including myself, yours, everybody. We all got to be held accountable. So if you see something, we all need to take a look, need to take a peek. Simon Parks came out and said, I saw in a video, Simon Parks said about this is now an alternate type of, I guess, like a white hat psyop to see who bites on it. Who bites on the Michael Flynn thing is bad. Once again, I don't even know what to think about that. But just want to take it from there. How do you see this playing out? What is this? Do you believe you could be biting on something that's a psyop and a coup to smoke out Flynn, and they're seeing who bites, who does not, as Parks would say?
No. So, okay. Having been in the military and served in the CIA, like you're talking about, for 35 years, there, being in senior positions, being around very high level people, people that are together, and people that are good operators, people that are good leaders, and so forth. And then you see people that are maybe borderline and don't really do that good of a job. And then you see people that are just downright bad, Yeah. So there's been many of us that have looked at a lot of these people. Now, you might remember when Trump first came into office and he was with all those military people, almost all of those military people are gone, kicked out, everything bad.
Right.
So to say that just because someone serves, I know a lot of people are like that, unfortunately. I'm not like that. I look at people and I go, he's not good, and I don't like to come out and say that. I like to let people discover on their own, just like a lot of this stuff that's happening right now. But at some point you got to go, okay, that's enough. People are like, looking at him for leadership, and as someone that's supposed to be, on the up and up. So the first thing that was a red flag for me was when he basically got dined up by the FBI. FBI, this guy is a top level intelligence officer, top of the top.
He got what, dined up? What do you mean?
He basically, the FBI came in before he even came into office and set him up with a Russia hoax.
Okay.
Remember they said that, you're talking to so-and-so in Russia and you didn't disclose that. You lied to Mike Pence and so blah, blah, blah. So he's like, yeah, he was like just hanging out, like me and you talking right now. He thought, this is his words, I was just hanging out with him. We were just talking. And then of course, Comey said, we sent a couple guys over to like take him out, all that stuff. I'm like, Ed, it's like amateurish to me. It's amateurish to me. I'm like, how did you let something like that happen? So as an operator, as a SEAL, as former CIA, if you make a mistake, it's like, okay, you made a mistake. We're gonna like, you got another chance, right? So he made a mistake. We'll give him that. But it's such a rookie, such a bad mistake. It's almost like you don't get another shot, dude. That was right. That was so fucked up.
That's unheard of in your world.
Oh yeah. So if being a Navy SEAL, being 1% of the 1%, and then having intuitive abilities 1% again. So I look at stuff and I can tell a leader, a really good operator right away. I can just see it. Like you can look at someone and go, he's a bullshit. He says he fights. He's a bullshitter,
all day long, baby. I see it all day long.
I know, right? And because you and I are knuckle draggers, we like, we can see somebody that's like, oh, this guy's
all the time. You can see the puppy dog.
Or this guy's a big smack talker and he's nothing. Right. So I look at people like that. I look at people in leadership position. I looked at Flynn and go, he's nothing, So when he started to become, popular, I'm like, well, he like, it seems like they attacked him and he put up with it. He did a good job, but we know there's a lot of disinformation that's going on everywhere now. So I was like looking at that. I'm like, I don't know. It's really suspect. So then Trump pardons him. And I'm like, well,
so 1 second, let's stop right there for a second, because that was a question absolutely. One of the audience members says is that, Trump was very close to Flynn. Was he close to Flynn? Because I don't remember if he was or not. I mean, I know he pardoned him, and the whole witch hunt with Obama going after Flynn. I mean, if Flynn was a bad guy, why would Obama be going after him? Obama created a whole witch hunt after him, had Judge Sullivan kind of hold Flynn in this purgatory state to where he cannot be accessed by the White Hats kind of thing. So right. What's your thoughts on that? See, that's when I get confused, because I'm like, well, then Flynn must be a good guy if they went so hard to go out. They went so hard after him,
It's so for someone that's in, the secret programs, and I've been part of PSYOPs. I've seen PSYOPs done, in the SEAL teams, in SEAL Team 6, in the CIA, been part of them, seen them, talked to people that are part of them. And how'd you do that? It's like, and so I know this stuff. So when I look at all that, I'm like, these guys are just doing a big PSYOP. So
who's doing a big PSYOP? Obama, all of them?
All those guys. So they're basically setting him up to be like, he's a bad guy, but there's so many people like that are set up. So these are my thoughts. These are my thoughts. All right. And it's not just my thoughts. So I talked to other people.
Lynn Wood's been throwing him under
Lynn Wood, there you go. So Lynn Wood's
been going after him hard.
Lynn Wood is perfect, because he's like, when I do, he talks about this. He says, when I do a trial, then there's a discovery period. I have questions for you, and because you're off base on some things. So, Michael Flynn's off base on a lot of things. So we're going to ask him, explain this. He's never explained a lot of the things that have happened. And why is he like such a great guy? Because they told us he was. That's all I've gotten. What has he done? I'm like, for you and me, we're fighters, mm-hmm. We've proven ourselves. What has Michael Flynn done? And
I've had some people that reach out to me, don't take this interview. You don't want to be on the bad side of things, pick your lane. Calling Michael Flynn out is a bad thing to do. And I'm like, I'm not calling Flynn out. I'm doing is searching for truth.
Absolutely.
And I think,
absolutely.
Right. And all things need to be looked at. And that's it. I mean, he is the face of the Reawaken tour. I know Clay Clark, I've had him on my show a couple of times. I like the guy. I've never met Flynn, but if I did, I'd shake his hand and say, pleasure to meet you, sir. I'm not, but the things you bring to my attention, which we're going to go into a little more, really did raise some flags to me. And there's more than one now. There's a prayer to the 7 beams of light, or whatever the hell he fucking said. And then the the one world religion, which really got my senses up, my intuition, my instincts went through the roof on that one. I was like, whoa, 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 that's a new world order thing right there. You know, I've always known that the one world religion, that's Masonic, right?
Right. Well, I have all this lined up so we can speak of all this.
Okay.
And so I know you wanted some information. We can share stuff, share the screen.
Yeah.
I have like several screens to share because, you know, being former, you know, enlisted senior officer, you had to have everything lined up. If you're going to make a statement about something, you need to have everything in line. So I got everything in line. So I have a presentation, you know, to do, and then people can make their own assessment. I mean, some people, it doesn't matter how much truth, how much information we give them, they're still going to believe in a guy, you know,
right.
And I don't care.
And I'm the same. Dude, he tugs at my heartstrings. I want to believe this guy.
Oh yeah.
Is, you know, fight like a Flynn, you know, he's a good white hat guy, but I mean, that's why I'm not scared. I'm willing to bring you on, and you have no fear. So let's go for it.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So I'll share the screen. Let's jump into this.
Okay.
So first of all, let's listen to this one little conversation that Mike Flynn and Lynn Wood had.
Okay.
So the QAnon movement really is a movement that spun out of your digital soldiers. I'm tired of these QAnon people attacking me.
Maybe, I don't know that.
But you know some of them.
I think it's a disinformation campaign. I think it's a disinformation campaign that the CIA created. That's what I believe. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but that's what I think it is. I think it's a disinformation campaign. There's actually a very interesting article today out that was sent to me. I'll send it to you about how the QAnon movement has failed and all that. But I find it, total nonsense, and I think it's a disinformation campaign created by the left, and the types of people that can create something like that are the kinds of people that we train for certain with certain skills in the CIA.
I'm aware that the CIA does it.
I would be surprised if that's what it was.
I'm aware the CIA does programs where they'll give you 75% of the truth and wrap it in a package that makes you look crazy to demean the truth they gave you. And I've always assumed that Q, as it originally started, may have been a white hat operation that got, in effect, kidnapped by the black hats, or it was either a black hat or a white hat. I don't know. I don't care. What Q stood for initially, I've always believed, one, there were Q drops. I never really understood them, didn't look at them, but I understood what Q stood for. And one of the things that I feel like I'm trying to do here for myself in terms of my faith, I believe the only issue that's before this country right now that's of primary importance is to investigate the communist effort to steal our presidency.
Wow. You know, and you know, the Q movement did contribute to the Great Awakening, in my opinion, and also contributed to people doing research and looking outside the box. So that would be, if that was a black hat operation, in my opinion, that was a big shot in the foot. Like that's a big mistake on their part, because what it did was wake up half the population.
Well, the other side of that is that he, started an organization, Digital Soldiers, and he talked about the Q movement in the beginning. That's how he became popular. So then to come in and then disown it. So that's another leadership problem.
So you're saying he profited, he capitalized on it and then disowned it.
Right. Behind the scenes, he was talking to Lynn Wood. Lynn Wood's like, hey, what's going on here? I feel like I'm getting attacked by Q warriors or whatever, by your digital soldiers. And he still feels that way. For 2 years, he feels he's been attacked by Michael Flynn's people. All right.
So was this phone call? This was with Lynn Wood and Michael Flynn, but did this get made public by Lynn Wood?
Yes.
Wow. So Lynn Wood's going all in.
Yeah, he went all in. He went all in, and
wow.
And on Sidney Powell as well. Now there's
Sidney Powell as well.
Oh, big time. He was with Patrick Burns, and they talked about this. basically Patrick Burns came in to do an audit of Sidney Powell's, nonprofit group. And there's and which Michael Flynn's part of, and there's lots of problems with it. I guess there was up to $30 million that came into that, and there's really no accounting. So there's problems with that, and I have stuff on that as well.
Do you think that they could just be maybe not black hats, but just out for themselves?
It's possible. They could just be self-serving, people. But Lynn Wood is possible. When I look at it, it seems like a total operation to me. For him to be able to pull this off as long as he has and appear to be a good guy and is proving himself not to be, then to me, it's like, this is, as from my experience and from other people's experience there that are also intelligence operatives and counter intelligence, all kind of stuff. They look at this too. We all look at this together and go, yeah,
something's not right.
He's either the most incompetent idiot there's ever been, or it's a black hat operation. So you got to choose. For me, that's it. He's obviously not incompetent to be at that, senior, a senior general in the Army.
Well,
so
go ahead. He has become the face of the Reawaken Tour. I mean, he's basically, it's almost like he's campaigning to be president. If you look what he's doing, I mean, he's, all these stops are making with the Reawaken Tour. I mean, is giving him a lot of clout, man. He's basically become the face, in my opinion, of Q. And yet he's on a phone call disowning the entire movement, saying it's a psyop. Right? Am I right?
Absolutely. I mean, look at the Bush family. We're seeing now that they have Nazi connections all the way back to World War II. So when you start to break all that down, you're like, these guys are like snowballed us for decades and decades, and they let the Nazis come in, and basically they're running our country right now. So just to think that Michael Flynn could not come in and do this is naive in the extreme. So that's my insight on this. I mean, we can keep going,
but yeah, let's keep going. But
yeah.
as of right now, the farthest I'd go with this, and just for me, I'm just speaking for me, is
absolutely
where there's smoke, there's fire. Something doesn't smell right. It raises my suspicions. But when I see Lynn Wood go all in, and now you're going all in, I could say that, right?
Oh yeah,
you're doubling down on this.
I'm totally. For me, it's like totally opposite. I've seen this for a while. I saw this from the beginning. It's like that. I had this one SEAL officer that had this. He was from Tennessee. He says he always had the saying, "That dog don't bark." So it was like, if something's not right, where there's smoke, there's fire type thing. So when I saw him basically get taken out in the very early stages, he had so much potential, so much that he could have shared. I'm like, wow, they did a real good mission on him. How did that happen? This guy's an Army intel officer? That just doesn't make sense. And Lynn Wood says, he was a lifelong Democrat. Now, for me, having been in the military, I don't really care about, political standings, but I can tell you that in my organization, the SEAL teams, it's almost like 99.9%, conservatives. Right. So most of the military is conservative, even still to this day. I've heard it's like not so much now, which kind of makes sense, unfortunately. But, for an Army officer to make it up to the top like that, I've been diming out Army officers. I dimed out the leader of the SEAL teams. I said, this guy's going to go. I said, Trump's going to squash this guy. And he did. So I'm not new to diming people out, saying, hey, this guy's got a problem. So I've been right. Several times. I said both of the under Trump, both of the secretaries of defense, I said both those guys are bad. Trump's going to get rid of them. He did. So
look at someone like General Milley. He's out there advocating for CRT. This guy. This is right. It just shows you how compromised these individuals are, and how
good point.
And how deep the deep state really is. How Excellent. Swampy this really is. Yeah. People thought we could. The people that you thought you could trust are now you're seeing they're picking a different lane that you thought they would. So, with Flynn, the red flags shot up when he started doing the prayer to the 7 beings of light or whatever, 7 points of light, and then the one world religion thing. I was like, whoa, man, brakes went on for me. My senses went up, and I was like, okay, that's when I put my foot down and go, I better hear what this guy's got to, what he's saying here. And then Len Wood came out with what he said, and then you came out with what you said, and that's when I was like, I better do a show on this.
Now, for me, I was like pretty much everyone else. I wanted to believe that Flynn was a patriot, you know. So, and then when I started to hear from some sources that he's not good, I'm like, you know, whatever, you know. And I've been like that my whole life. It's like people tell me stuff, I'm like, we'll see. And so I kind of like keep an eye on it, and like, so I started keeping an eye on it, started doing a little bit of research here and there. I'm like, shit. So I always had a little misgivings about it, you know, it didn't feel right. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's something there. And then I started digging, and I'm like, oh, dang. You know,
really?
Yeah.
So you did your own research on this?
Oh, of course.
Big time.
I mean, because I'm not going to come out and dime somebody out unless.
Yeah,
for me, in the SEAL community, I can look at, like we said, I can look at somebody and go, yeah, you know, he's totally wrong. Or I can see the way someone talks, because I knew a lot of those guys, you know, in the SEAL teams, and I know how they act, and you know, I work with some of these guys. And so if they're doing stupid, I'm like, I call them out. That's the way we are in the SEAL teams. That's bullshit, you know? And I don't care where you're at. I mean, if you're the admiral, got senior enlisted guys will call out everybody. So,
yeah, that was one of the questions from the audience, was that how do we know Mike isn't just trying to use this as clickbait or to make himself more popular? They were asking that. And I was like, you know, Mike doesn't come off to me that type of guy. The guy's, you know, I can sense when someone's a no bullshit person. I'm a no bullshit person, and I know you are too, being a Navy SEAL. Mm-hmm. You don't get there by being a you know, pussyfooting around anything.
I have nothing to win from this,
right?
Everything to lose. So for me to
100%, we get, you know, even me doing this interview with you is a lot for me to lose, and sure. You have a lot to lose because you're the one calling him out.
Yeah. So, but like I said, I called out some other people, and it proved right. It proved exactly like I said. Will this be called out soon? I don't know. Could be. It could be because we're bringing some attention to it, like we're doing right now. People are going to start to look at it. Like you're saying, there's some inconsistencies here, and why he's never been to, I know of, he's never been to a Trump event. If you pardon me, if I was going to prison, you pardon me, I'm like, I'm going to shine your car every day. I'm going to, like, you know, I'm going to be your pool boy. I'm going to, like, interesting. Rub your feet at night. I'm like, you know,
I've never seen him at a Trump event. You're right.
I was here in Sarasota several months ago, and Donald Trump came here. We all waited all day long for him in the blazing heat sun, you know, super tropical weather. And then it rained on us and no one left. And then he comes out, and I know you've been like me. I'm questioning what's going on with Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis didn't show up. Here's Trump in Sarasota, Florida, and the governor doesn't show up.
That's another guy that I question is Ron DeSantis.
I know, right?
100%.
So here we go. You know, a lot of us question people that it just, something's not right. So we need to do this. Because when we do this, it draws attention to people. And if they're unclean, it gets,
you know, you're right. If I got pardoned by Trump, I'd be at every single one of his rallies, and I'd be washing his car.
I know, right?
Dude, I mean, seriously, I'm like, what else do you want me to do, sir?
Yeah, I know, right? Can I get your shoes for you? It's like,
yeah, let me sign your shoes, sir.
Yeah.
No, everything. That's a good, man. That's a good point, Mike. I mean,
yeah. So you got, and I didn't come up with that. Someone, after I talked about this, someone in my comments, because I went through and, am I going to get beat up on this? I got almost 98% of people came in and did positive. So, like,
your response has been well from this.
Very good. Very good. Yeah.
Gosh, I just, you had I remember watching your program the last time you shared the screen and showed, well, you have your whole thing you want to go through, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I remember the last time you showed the way he was profiting off the Q movement or something like that.
Yeah, that's coming up. So here it is. You know, we just mentioned it. You know, he doesn't show up for Trump rallies, but he does his own rallies. But they're sparsely attended pro-Trump rallies. All right. So he's not really getting, because I've done rallies, and I've been to rallies. I get like anywhere from 300 to maybe 500 to 600 people, and they're super high energy. And when I've seen these rallies, everybody's kind of like, clapping nicely. When I do rallies, like when I did with Scott McKay, we blew it up. I mean, people were pumped up. So I'm seeing, a big headliner like he should be, 2,500 seats available, and maybe between 8 to 100,000 people in attendance. So
wow,
there seems to be,
but see, this is the Rolling Stones smashing him, right? So that would give me like, I mean, if he was a black hat, why would the Rolling Stone magazine be torching him like that? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
because they tear down whoever, like let's say Trump, like let's say Donald Trump, they scrutinize him, they crucify him in the media, and that's what they do to the good guys. I guess unless they have another part of the plan they're trying to use here, but for the most part, the good guys they deem as villains, and the bad guys they put on a pedestal. Am I right in saying that? So for Rolling Stone to come out and slam Mike Flynn or General Flynn, that would show me like he's a threat. Right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So you can make that assumption, but like we're saying, there's all kind of disinformation going on.
Just playing devil's advocate.
We can look at Trump and say, he was doing the because we're not on YouTube, I'm going to just say it, vaccination.
Right.
And he was like pushing that quite a bit, and everybody's like, what is he doing? He got booze and stuff like that. So now he's not pushing it. He came out and said, you have free choice, but we're seeing that there was kind of like something he was doing there, and I love President Trump. I think he's probably going to be the greatest president ever. In my opinion, he is the greatest president ever.
Right. Me too.
So I think that's going to continue. I think what he was doing was psyops, because every time he would come out and promote something like ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, they came after it and shut it down. And now people are having a hard time getting it. So, and that's something that can save people's lives.
Right.
So for him to come out, and I believe it, I know actually in the beginning, when the military was distributing, when he was still in office, it was good. All right. Mostly saline, but I knew from my sources, people that actually worked. But as time goes on and they're doing the boosters, I think they're fully loaded.
Those are fully loaded. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. The mRNA shot is a spike protein you essentially become a spike protein factory.
Absolutely. And you're basically, it's coming off you. So a lot of us are getting, infected from it and stuff like that. It's a battle going on, to stay healthy right now, so a lot of us are being affected by it. We're working through it though. We're going to win.
But General Flynn, he's anti-vax, right?
Yes, he is anti-vax. A lot of the stuff that I see same thing. You go to the Q movement. He was all about Q movement. And then behind the scenes, he's saying, it's a psyop. So what is he saying behind the scenes?
So can I ask you something here that probably my audience is thinking too? So you're thinking that maybe he's been put in to kind of gain our trust?
Yes.
And basically people start following him, and then it's like the bait and switch. It's like you believe in this guy, he's everything you want, he's going to run for president, and then bam, he's working for the Black Hats. That's what you're saying?
The whole time.
Wow.
Absolutely. So let me look. Let's read the First Amendment. So we need to know this. Freedom of religion, just like you were talking about. The First Amendment, freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And like you and I have had our free speech, of course, impacted. For me, that's very egregious, because I fought for 35 years for my country to protect that. And now it's being taken from me. Another thing that Flynn wants to do is have a one religion, which is like, so everyone should be like total red flag right now. So he is serving of the Constitution. So me, after having left the military, I still feel like it's my duty, my obligation to continue that mission any way that I can. If I see that America has become infiltrated like it has. So I'm pushing back on domestic. So protect America from foreign and domestic. So we have domestic basically problems here in America right now. They've infiltrated on an incredible level. So then you have people that are gaining our trust, that are making comments that we should have a one religion. So that's he is breaking the he's
that
breaking the
right there is
Constitution.
New World Order right there.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So that's
One
of
world
many
government, one
red
world military,
flags.
one world religion, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Michael Flynn says America needs one religion under God. So it's, that's
Well,
not the way the Constitution runs there, Michael Flynn, general that, is supposed to protect that thing. It's very troubling. Very troubling.
He does say under God, though. I mean, but still one religion. Yeah, man.
It still throws in that little hook.
Yeah.
They always have that little hook. And this is from Baptist News Global. That's basically pointing this out. So this is a religious institution. Go, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're not serving humanity. You're not serving America here. This is not what this is about. This is not the way America is run. Because we had the Pilgrims come here, basically left England to escape, England's one religion. The Church of England was all you could do. You could not be Catholic. You could not be, Protestant religion, nothing. And they destroyed all the churches throughout England, and they made the Church of England. So that's what the Pilgrims basically left, and started, Plymouth Rock, Massachusetts. They started, a new America, a new world. So that's the foundation of America.
Mm-hmm. Right. 100%.
So he spoke at, when he said some of this stuff, that raise of 7 rays, he was at this mega church, Pastor John Haig's, and I don't know anything about John Haig. Sounds like a great guy, but his brother, who you see here, was a constable, was accused of sexual assault of a 5-year-old all the way until she was 13. Yeah. So this is his brother, right? Mm-hmm. So this is where Flynn spoke. So we know that there's some problems with child trafficking and blah blah blah. So we just need to see a bigger picture that's going on here. Not to start making claims.
Right.
I haven't researched that. I don't know anything about that. But when I start to do research and I start to see little things like that, I'm like, red flag, red flag, red flag. Right.
Right.
So Twitter bans Michael Flynn, Sidney Powell, and QAnon account purge. So he was speaking about QAnon.
Wow.
So he's been part of the QAnon. Yeah, go ahead.
What if Trump were to come out and clarify or clear their, settle this and say, I'm with Michael Flynn. I back Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn's with us. What if he came out and said that? Would you then believe Flynn is a good guy?
It would be like Trump saying, go get the.
Then you start questioning Trump or what?
No, I wouldn't start questioning. I'm like, what are you trying to do here?
Right.
I know he's a bad guy. Or what kind of disinformation campaign you're trying
if this was anyone else, Mike, if you were just some Tom, Dick, and Harry fucking slapdick,
I know you just
I wouldn't be listening to you at all.
Shut up.
But since you're, right? You have the military background, you work for the CIA. I mean, I'm listening.
All right. So here we go. Michael Flynn said it in a secretly recorded, like we just had. QAnon is a disinformation campaign and total nonsense. So then you just saw that Flynn was kicked off of Twitter, like I was. I didn't even talk about QAnon. I was just doing free speech stuff, and it rubbed somebody the wrong way, so they kicked me off along with everybody else. But he said QAnon. I knew better than to say QAnon, and but he did, and he gets kicked off for it. So he, CIA sponsored disinformation campaign. I know CIA sponsored disinformation campaign. Now I know that they were infiltrating some disinformation into the non stuff. But as far as like the rest of Q, when I looked at it, I'm like, this is brilliant. This is brilliant.
Right.
Whether someone, like he said, whether it's 80% they're releasing information and then 20% is false.
Yeah,
Regardless, somebody's
I-
releasing good information. We learned a lot from Q.
right,
learned-
exactly. I tell people that all the time. Without Q, you would not know anything.
I agree.
So many
And
people, they would have been able to do this so much easier without Q. Q, yeah, Q was very necessary for the white hat operation, in my opinion, because so many people started to research and woke up because of QAnon. Now,
Yeah.
some of them are crazy. I'll admit it. There's a lot of people that buy into everything, and they're gullible and they're conspiracy theorists, and they have all kinds of different beliefs, and I'm not going to challenge that. Everyone has a right to that, but some people go off the deep end, and I try to stay as grounded as I can and play devil's advocate. But when you bring up Flynn like you do, I have to look at it, man. You're making me have to look at this.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
It's and either you get more informed that he's a good guy, or you get more informed, or maybe I brought out all the information that you can find, which is there's a lot more. But
didn't you have information on him profiting off the Q movement?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna bring up now.
Okay.
So let me share the screen again. Pull that back up. Here we go. More trouble with QAnon. Linwood says, stop the steal is a deep state plot. So Linwood's calling it a deep state. Now, I kind of feel that way too, but I don't have enough evidence to say, here's all the evidence. It's definitely a deep state, because the deep state, I've seen the deep state when I was in CIA. Right. I saw those guys doing shady stuff. Like when I was in Afghanistan, basically they were setting up to drug traffic. There was a group that was coming in behind us, and they were working out of our base. We couldn't talk to them. They didn't talk to us, but we knew that they were setting up drug trafficking from Afghanistan. So I saw a lot of stuff. I saw human trafficking. I saw arms trafficking. I saw drug trafficking. And this goes all the way back to the Nazis. So the Nazis basically came in and took over the CIA. That's a whole different story. But now you're probably like, well, why did you work for CIA? Well, I didn't know this at the time. I thought the CIA was great. I did great stuff. I tracked down terrorists. There's a lot of people that, like in FBI and police forces and so forth, and some politicians that really do a good job. And they know there's evil stuff going behind the scenes, but they work in front and do the best that they can, knowing that stuff is going on. And not everybody knows.
Right.
Not everybody knows,
Right.
Unless you've been around, you have eyes to see. Some guys are like, they don't want to know, but me, I knew, but I kept quiet about it. I'm like, well, that's a compartmented, thing they got going on to make money.
Right.
That's what they use that, because I was like, wow, the CIA has a lot of money. They pay me a lot of money, and they have a lot of money to pay, terrorist, activities and all kind of crazy stuff. And I'm like, wow. So they have to do, these illegal functions. But when you start to look a little deeper, you're like, that's not good.
What I'm seeing here in this stop the steal, this is genius, because what they're doing is a deep state plot. So what they're doing is they're saying fix 2020, but yet they're using it for other purposes other than to fix 2020. Stop the steal they're going to use for voting rights and things like that, and have all the illegals. They're going to turn it into that, right? So
good. So that's what's beautiful about you, Nino. I mean, you haven't been in these organizations, but you are seeing, because you have a lot of guests on your show that give you a lot of information, and some of them are very high up. So when you get someone that comes on and says, like I'm doing a little bit here, a little bit there, you start to piece things together, and you're doing a really good job of it. So Linwood, after doing the research and connecting the dots, I have reached the conclusion that Stop the Steal organization is a deep state organization to raise money for purposes other than to fix 2020. I will no longer refer to Michael Flynn as General. F. Lynn is only the general of the deep state. Sad but true. That is my opinion based of facts. You should draw your own conclusions based on facts, not emotion. So a lot of people get emotional about this stuff. I've learned not to be emotional because I've been in combat and I've seen people that get emotional.
Why did
die.
he spell it F-Linn? Isn't that how Lynn Wood spells his name?
I don't know. I don't know if he's trying to make a negative connotation there. Effing Lynn.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know. So they have a little thing going on, and so there's more to this. So there's
so he's straight up calling him deep state.
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah. I am too. I call him deep state. So,
wow, bro.
Lynn Wood goes off the deep. So the Rolling Stone again. So that he's going to, obviously Lynn Wood is, a crazy guy too. So he accuses Trump lawyer because we're not going to get the regular, there is no regular press. There's only us.
Right. Correct.
So when you see stuff like this, you have to like flip it. You know how it is. You're
right.
Like, okay, 180 this. And you're like, okay, there's some problems here. All right. So Rolling Stone is trying to make us all look stupid and like we're all at war with each other, but we're not. We just see an inconsistency, see a problem, and we start to focus on it. So here he is basically saying, after doing the research, connected dots to reach a conclusion, how to fix it. And it's all coming out. So here's Sidney Powell. So he's starting to pull Sidney Powell into this. So let's go a little bit deeper with her. All right. So this is Scott Bennett. Scott Bennett was on my show. I'm going to play a little bit of this. We went deep into this. All right. So he was a former officer in the Army PSYOPs intel side. And he's done some amazing stuff. And I've had the privilege of talking to him several times in person where we talk, some deep stuff like guys talk that have insight, So he came on and he shared as much as he could because we've talked about this. I'm going to play a little bit of this and we'll talk a little bit more.
On the political geography of America, and testing who are real and who are spies. So when Lynn Wood and Pat Byrne had this conversation, I took a knee and I started really analyzing and putting it all into my computer and what I knew and who I knew and what I was doing. And I was very disturbed, honestly, when Pat Byrne was talking about, look, I came down to Florida. Sidney Powell created this Defend the Republic. It's not about defending the Republic. It's about defending Sidney Powell. And she's got, 7 or 20 or 30 million or more. I went down there to do an audit. She wanted me to go down there. I did. She wouldn't let me look at the books. So we all walked away and have never talked to her since. And she tried to bed me and sleep with me and all this stuff. I found that all, besides the sleeping, we know women and guys, okay, that happens. I'm not sure I would want that to happen either, but they were being, biological organisms. But the money thing is very disturbing because Lynn Wood was saying, look, this could lead to federal investigations and charges. And, if they investigate, let's say if the Department of Justice levied a indictment upon her, they could say, okay, here's your indictment. By the way, get out of jail if you tell us everybody on this list was aiding and abetting and part of your conspiracy. And if she said, yep, they did it. That's how the justice system and the FBI turn people and get innocent men thrown in jail because they go to someone and they say, you're going to go to jail for 50 years, but if you talk, we'll send you to a paradise island as part of a witness protection program. You just have to lie and answer the story and answer the questions we wanted. So when I saw that, I thought, wow, if Sidney Powell has created a organization that is in any way financially suspicious, that opens up the door for problems. Now, I don't know, but I do know that Sidney Powell, when I gave her the material on Covington Burling, she was not forthright and honest and direct in giving not me the glory, Mike, but giving God the glory that she was given this material from out of the blue that she used to get Michael Flynn out of jail. Wow. And Joe Flynn, when I saw him in Washington too, Joe Flynn was up as part of Patrick Byrne's team. When he saw me across the table, he turned white. He said, "You're the one who worked with Snowden." I said, "Yeah." And I gave him the amicus brief. I said, "Give this to your brother." That's what I wrote to get him out of jail. And when I saw General Flynn in California, I said, "I'm the one who got you out of jail." And he looked at me kind of quizzically, like, He didn't know who I was. And I honestly believe.
So, two military guys, shooting shit, we, just like I said, we're like, either Flynn is completely compromised or he's a complete idiot. He's not an idiot.
Yeah.
He's compromised. All right. He's compromised. That's
Now-
my opinion. Mhm.
Now, what about the rumors that I've heard? And I have no validation on this. I don't know. They're just rumors that Sidney Powell and Flynn went to the President Trump and said, "Hey, you need to sign the Insurrection Act." Is that truth that they went there telling him to sign it? But here's where I'm going with this, because if they went there to go tell him to sign the Insurrection Act, did they know what the Democrats were planning with the January 6th attack on the Capitol? Did they already know that? And so they were pushing Trump to sign the Insurrection Act? Do you get what I'm going with this? Do you follow me on this, or am I making sense?
Yeah. And in fact, they may have been involved in it.
That's where I'm going. That what I'm saying is, that also raised a red flag for me that they went to the. Now I don't know. I don't have proof if this happened or not. This is just what I've heard. It's a rumor, and I don't know. I have no validation on this, but I heard it, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," because they were going there to convince Trump to sign the Insurrection Act. But do you think they knew that what they were planning with the January 6th thing? I mean, those things were just swirling around in my mind. I just bringing up a point. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Fortunately, he didn't. I think it's a good thing that he didn't. If he did, it would have been a trap. So yeah, Flynn, it sounds like Flynn was trying to set him up in a trap.
Now that's just that's just something that arose in my mind. I just thought, well, gee, that's kind of strange.
Good. Because I know you talked to Juan, and Juan brings up great points. I don't know if he's in on this, or
right.
He would probably have some good insight, which he may not be able to share with us, or
Well, Juan says he did not sign the Insurrection Act. I talked to Wayne.
No, he didn't. I know he didn't either. Yeah.
Okay, he didn't. But I have Wayne Jett
absolutely.
that's going to be premiering tonight on YouTube saying he did. He's convinced he did.
I've had Wayne on too. Yeah, he told me that. I'm like,
I mean, I just
Wayne,
let him.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
I mean, everyone has I
have their opinion. Absolutely. Like me,
Right.
I have my opinion that Flynn's bad. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got to bring it all to the audience, is the way I look at it.
Right.
Let them formulate their own opinion.
It is basically First Amendment. All right. So no, I can't go after someone unless I have proof like I'm showing, look, this looks suspect. I don't have inconvertible. I mean, you can't say that, Mike, where's the proof? I don't have it. All I can do is circumstantial stuff and look and say, look at this. From my experience, this looks bad, blah, blah, blah. So I don't have the background to like go, okay, here's this. Now I do know people that do. No. And at some point it may come out, but I think it's a reveal. It's more reveal, like we've been talking about, like we have been learning, you and I and many other people have been learning who's been naughty and who's been nice. And I think that some people that we thought were naughty are actually insiders, our guys infiltrated, because we do that. We know like law enforcement, I've done this. I've dressed up as like an Afghan or a Pakistani, and went around and did all kind of crazy stuff. Right. So we know people do this stuff, and there's probably, well, I don't say probably, I absolutely can promise you there are good guys that are in the bad guy side.
Right. And you know what I used to do when I fought, and sometimes it worked against me as well, was I was always real nice. I was like, hey, man, shake the fighter's hand. Like,
so this is Florida cracks down on Sidney Powell and Michael Flynn's deceptive fundraising with defending the Republican Incorporated. So this is very long. This is a really good one. Stern facts. I recommend this to everyone to read, but there's a lot of information out there that these guys are basically, and it really is amazing to me, the way the Justice Department, cherry pick stuff.
Right.
These guys should be like, sitting in the jail cells, but somehow nothing's happened to them, because they're definitely, as it appears here anyway, stealing money from, the average citizen. Say, hey, we support this, blah, 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 blah. And no one knows, like Patrick Byrne, it says here, reached out to give comment after publication. So he went in and he did basically an audit, and he found out some concerning stuff, as he talks about, with Lynn Wood. And
with Lynn Wood?
With Lynn Wood. Yeah, there's a conversation they had together. So look up Lynn Wood and Patrick Byrne.
Okay.
That conversation is another conversation that is even more in depth. So,
about Michael Flynn?
It's about basically, yeah. It goes in a little bit on Michael Flynn, but mainly on Powell. But Michael Flynn's involved in these organizations.
Gotcha.
He's profiting as well. All right. So they're supposed to be nonprofit, where they just use the money to, do, help defend the republic, and reveal, inconsistencies and, stealing the vote and that kind of stuff. Where's that money gone? Who have they helped? There's problems. So
there's three things here. There's three things here. There could be either completely incompetent and idiots, which we don't think they are. They're either black hats, or there's just service to self, just profiting, making money.
Right. So you have those things to look at. So they're either idiots, which they could not pull all this stuff off if they were. It would be because I would,
we
want to have heroes, but we are the heroes. We need to start to believe in ourselves and start to see this kind of stuff. Stop supporting people that are kind of suspect. These people are suspect. You start to look at all this stuff and you're like, nah, there's too much. There's too much here. There's too much possible corruption. And we see thing after thing after thing, like we're pointing out. And if you do more research, you're going to find more and more and more and more. You're going to be like, yeah, this is bad to the bone. There's nothing good here. Yeah. So, a lot of people I think have been misinformed. All right, sorry, that was for my last show. I'm like you. I'm like I got you got 4 shows a day?
Sometimes, man. Sometimes I'm knocking out 4 or 5. Sometimes I cancel on people and just try to get sleep because I go so hard one day and the next day I'm just burned out. Yeah.
I'm the same way. I got like 3 shows a day, so I love it. I love talking this stuff. I feel like I'm still in the game. Like we talked about, I'm not here to self-serve. I don't get anything. If anything, I'm going to take a hit on this, because
you're going to be ridiculed a lot, man. But I think you cleared up a lot of stuff for my audience. At least you gave your perspective and you opened my eyes to things. So at the very least, I'm not going to say, I'm still 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'm not going to be like Flynn's a bad guy, but all the stuff all the questions you raised, honestly, to me, I'm like, okay, now I'm this. Now I'm watching because the first part of this, like the first time that some red flags arose with Flynn was I didn't even have to talk to you. It was about the 7 rays of light and the one world religion. I was like, what's this shit? I've heard this before. That's when I was like, I'm questioning him. But now that I've talked to you about this, now I'm really worried about the guy, Leary, and I'm going to be watching him. Now, I'm not going to try to divide the Patriot movement. I know you're not either. That's not what we're trying to do. We're just saying, watch, keep your eyes and ears open, right? That's all we're saying, right? That's all you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it was the first Gulf War. Now it was probably the second Gulf War. Remember that one officer that was in Texas, actually, that went through, who's a Muslim guy, and went through and just started shooting everybody up. Yeah. You don't want people like that in your ranks, right? So a lot of people started saying, hey, we got problems here, but they blew it off. They didn't do anything about it. And then he goes rogue and starts shooting everybody up. And then we have other people that, have thrown hand grenades into tents where, senior enlisted guys were, or senior officers were. So, we gotta look at everybody. I look at you and I'm like, you're like an angel to me. I've seen you in person and you're badass. You got this huge heart. You got your devil side too, but, don't we all? Yeah. But, I met you in person and you're like, dang, that's a big dude that's got a big heart, that's freaking badass.
Yeah, it could be sometimes it's a downfall to have a big heart.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Well, it's actually the greatest thing. It's a tough accomplishment. I think it's the greatest accomplishment.
That means a lot to me, man. Thank you.
And we see, I've seen Juan in person. I think he's like, stellar human being. So you see people over time that you're like, that's good. That guy's good. That's good. When I look at Flynn, when I really look at him, I'm like, he's bad.
Dang.
So,
Yeah, I've never, that's interesting because when you're around someone's aura or their energy, you could feel them, especially me being a fighter, you being a Navy SEAL. Like, I just, I've never really looked at Flynn on the, and really paid any attention to it. But if I wonder how I would feel if I met him in person,
yeah,
I wonder how that would feel because
you would look at him a lot different now.
Have
you
you
would
met
be
him
like,
before?
"Oh, I'm so glad to meet you,"
Yeah.
but now you'd be like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Thanks to Michael Jaco. No, just kidding. No,
and
but
that
it's
might be
true.
good. It might be bad. He's like, "Why you look at me like that?
Yeah.
I'm a good guy." It's like, well, there's got some problems. So, maybe he can talk about those because Lynn Wood is like, Mike Flynn, come and talk about this stuff. So you want? He's like,
So
"City
Lynn
Hall, come talk about
Wood's
this stuff."
asking him to
They
come
won't.
on and talk about it.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
And he's
And
not he's not taking the offer, huh?
No.
Wow, man.
Well, he did that one conversation, but it was secretly recorded, I guess. I don't know. Lynn Wood is he's a lawyer.
I was going to ask you that. How did that phone call get recorded? Do you know? Like, how did that even transpire? Like, how did that even get started? I mean, how did that even happen? And then
yeah. I guess they're communicating. Lynn Wood at one time was part of their organization, and then 3 days afterwards they canked him. So I didn't go into that, but he was actually part of their nonprofit. And I guess Sidney Powell has used his name, not to his. He's like, I didn't give you permission to use my name.
Right.
They're doing some shady stuff.
And Lynn Wood's a defamation lawyer, so he knows what he's talking about.
I know, right? He's not. He knows where to tread and where to push, and he knows if he can get in trouble. And he's like hammering these guys. I'm like, whew.
Damn.
But I have other people. I don't just look at Lynn Wood. I have other people that have told me some far more damning things. Right.
Okay.
So, and we're not going to talk about that here. I hope that at some point it gets revealed, but people have to look at I look at everyone, I mean,
there's so many vipers in the den.
I really don't think that you could ever be turned, but if you do, I hope I know it.
Yeah.
And the same with me. If I turn, I hope everybody's like, Mike's turn. Well, people do that anyway. Mike's bad, and then eventually they go, oh, you're right. But they never apologize. No. It's like, could you guys admit that I was right? Come on, at least do that.
I mean, dude, I'm going to tell you what, man, you've definitely opened my eyes up to this a lot more because I went into this interview thinking all the way, like, I don't want to divide the Patriot movement, and we're not doing that. So let's just make that clear. We're not doing that.
I love the Patriot. I fought my whole life.
Yeah.
I would not throw that away on just like some random guy like, Mike.
Well, I guess because I have questions about Ron DeSantis, big questions about him. You're right. Why doesn't he ever go out in Florida and go support Trump? Why doesn't he ever do that?
Good point. And I guess they have a little beef going on right now. So there's some problems there. Maybe remember how Trump, before the election, he said, Fox is bad. Fox News is bad. Yep. And everybody's like, what are you talking about?
Yep.
And then on election night, we're like, oh,
yeah.
So
exactly. Well, Mike, thanks for joining me, man. It's always a pleasure, dude. Let's get a roundtable again with you, me, and Scott.
Yeah, good. Always love those.
So I got to rock my blue blockers on this interview.
Yeah, you look good, man. It looks good.
They help with the blue light, man. They're awesome. They don't give me because after I do these interviews and stuff, I get a headache.
Yeah, that's good.
So these have been helping. So,
right
Mike,
on.
Thank you. I'm gonna put this up. I think I'm gonna put this up on Rumble, dude. I think I'll put this up on Nino's Corner.tv tomorrow, and then I'll also put it up on Rumble just so this can get shared. All right. And do you want me to send you a file?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay, I'll do that right now. Well, thank you very much, Mike, for joining me.
Yeah, anytime, Nino. Anytime. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, brother.
Hope it helps people.
Absolutely. Later.
Later.